Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a sculpted Valentine's set of nails. A while ago I had a couple of comments on some of the older sculpting videos to do a longer set of nails, and recently I've been doing some long acrylics, and then that reminded me that a lot of my favorite acrylic designs can easily be converted into sculpting gel designs. So basically that's what we're going to be doing today. Now I have skipped showing the prep etc in this video because it was already quite a long video. However, in the description box below I will leave a link to a dedicated prep video, so if you want to check out how I do all of my prep you can check that out. So we're basically going to be applying tips for this set of nails. If you don't want to do tips at this point, you could sculpt a clear base using the crystal clear sculpting gel. I decided to go for tips today. I'm a little bit more confident with tips than I am sculpting. I need to get in a little bit of practice with sculpting, and a lot of that practice actually comes down to applying the sculpting forms. Once I've got the sculpting forms on, I have no problem. It's just I struggle with getting those forms perfect. So I went for tips today, and with my tips I apply a teeny tiny amount of glue, press it down in the center of the nail, and then I'll just use both my thumbs to press in those wings. I'm then going to take the K&S, I believe these are the Amsterdam cuticle scissors. I will double check and leave everything as always linked in the description box below. But I'm going to take the Amsterdam scissors and basically trim off some of the length. I didn't want these to be as long as what the tips basically was, and I do really love these scissors for this. Even though they're curved, you are able to create a straight cut with them, but I feel as though I can get a lot more precise with the length I want cut with the scissors rather than with tip cutters. I'm then going to take the 180 grit side of my file and gently file these so they're a little bit more of a crisper shape, and I'm also bringing in the wings of the side walls slightly with my file as well. Now personally I hate the feeling of filing my nails when all they are the tips, when there's no product. It gives me a really weird feeling, you know, kind of like that feeling when you hear someone scrape nails on a chalkboard. That feeling, that's what I get when it comes to filing tips. So I don't do too much filing before applying my product. However, I do come in with my buffer and I gently buff where the tip meets the natural nail, and then I buff over the entire tip to remove the shine, because gel doesn't like to adhere very well to shiny products, so you want to remove that shine. Now you can get tips that are matte, so then if you're using matte tips you can completely skip this step. But I'm just very gently going over with my buffer to buff off the shine and just very gently blend them into the natural nail. They are very thin tips, so it's not like the old school tips where back in the day when I first learned to do nails you had to really blend the line where your tips met your natural nail because the tips were so thick. I'm so glad tips got a lot thinner. I'm then going to make sure to dust away all of that dust that we've created from filing, and then I'm going to wipe over the nails with some alcohol. So again, this is going to give a good clean and it's going to dehydrate the natural nail plate, and I'm then going to come in and apply my Kiki London primer. Now with your primer you don't need to prime your tips, your primer is only for the natural nail bed. So I'm just going to apply a small amount of this to that natural nail bed area, and then we're going to come in and apply our base. So I'm going to use RB14 today, which is a beautiful natural base shade, and you can use any base coat pretty much at this step. If you are going to be using a rubber color base, just bear in mind the color you're choosing for the design you're using, or if you prefer you can use a clear rubber base coat. We do have a clear base coat available. I don't use it as much anymore in videos, so I did get asked recently if there's a clear version, where if you go back over the older videos on the channel I used to swear by the clear rubber base coat, but I do love the colors. The consistency, the formula, how they work is all pretty much the same, but I love that these have the color in there. Now for this set we're going to be using sculpting gel anyway, so you're not actually going to see any of this color in the particular design I was doing, but it is one of my preferred steps to go in with a rubber base coat in the color version. It's kind of just creature of habit, so do you know what I mean, like a personal preference. But I'm going to apply a thin coat of this to the entire nail, taking it down the tips as well, and then we're going to pop this into cure for 30 seconds. And then that's our base ready to go with our design. So on some of these nails, I wanted to have glitter fades and I wanted to do a cat's eye on one of the nails. So we're going to start off by using the beautiful Enchanted Kiss for a base for our chunky glitter fade. So I'm going to be using a raw chunky glitter, but I like to have a finer base down so that when we're applying that chunky glitter, you haven't got to build it up too thickly to get your coverage. So I've come in with a thin coat of Enchanted Kiss and I'm just blending it back using my ombre brush, and then with the product that the ombre brush has picked up, I'm just going to dip into my raw chunky glitter mix and start placing this down on the nail. Now this is a mix full of mylar pieces, shards, hearts, glitters. It's got a lot going on in it, and that's why I like to have that finer glitter mix underneath so that you're not going to be seeing any of that clear tip through the glitter, and then this way you don't have to build up loads of glitter and start creating a really thick bulky nail. So I'm repeating this on the ring finger. You did see me jump back there to the pointer finger. I just had knocked some of the glitter, so I was just touching that up. But all I'm basically doing is nudging these glitter pieces around, and you want to try and make sure that you're getting them lying nice and flat on the nail. And I'm going to come in and just place some down at the fade area. We're going to be doing like a hidden ombre, so we're going to be using our sculpting gel to come over the top. So I do want to blend everything back, but I still want some of those chunkier pieces to be down at that fade area. And then once we're happy with how that's all placed, we're going to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds. That's going to cure our layer of Enchanted Kiss, and then it's going to cure those chunky glitters down into place. And then we're going to move back to those nails in a little while. I then wanted to jump onto the middle finger, and originally on this nail I was kind of going for a cuticle glitter fade, but I really messed up right at this step here by just taking this fade down way too far. I don't really know what I was thinking. I was kind of just in the flow of doing the nails, and I'd sort of created this design in my mind, so I knew what I was doing. But then when it comes to applying the products, I think I was in the flow of doing a more full-on ombre. So I placed down my Enchanted Kiss at the cuticle area and started blending it down the nail, and then I sort of realized I've taken this down. I didn't actually realize I'd taken this down a little bit too far until it comes to applying the sculpting gel. So I did have a little bit of a fix up to do, and it wasn't the best cuticle fade, but I still really loved how this set turned out. So I'm just going to do this in 2 coats. So I'm doing the first coat, curing that for 30 seconds, and then because I really wanted this red to pop at that cuticle area, I decided to come in with a second coat, both times only using a really small amount of gel polish, because this is such a stunning glitter. It's set in like a red jelly base, and then it's full of really fine red hollow, not actually so much holographic, it's more like a red metallic particles, and they are really pretty. So I've touched up that second coat, getting a nice neat cuticle area with the striped liner brush, and then I'm blending this down. And really, if you're doing a cuticle glitter fade, you do not take your glitter this far down, you keep it down at that cuticle area. So then we're going to move on to applying our sculpting gel. So I'm going to be using both the natural cover and the crystal clear for encapsulation, but we're going to start off with the natural cover, which as you can see, it's a really gorgeous nudie pink shade. And I'm going to be applying this using the Kiki London Polygel Brush. So this is quite a nice, large, round, flat brush. So I'm going to pick up a large ball of gel, and I'm going to roll this off my brush just slightly away from the cuticle area, and then push up towards the cuticle area, and then just using little rolling, nudging motions, I'm taking this from side to side to build up and cover that natural nail bed area. So we're building it up here to build our apex, so then I don't have to fully do a thicker clear encapsulation layer. I can just encapsulate from the fade down. If you prefer, you could do this layer here thinner just for the coverage purposes, and then you could build and encapsulate the entire nail with crystal clear. But whenever I'm doing a fade, I kind of prefer to do it this way, because I feel as though that you're then getting more coverage from the product by building up the apex area with that nude color that you've chosen to use. So as you can see, I've blended this down slightly over that glitter, and then I'm going to swap to my striped liner brush just to neaten things up around that cuticle area. I have have been a little bit out of practice with the sculpting gel because it's been a little while. I was looking over videos I've done on the channel, and it's been a little while since I'd done a sculpting gel set, and I don't think I'd done many as long as this one, so my application itself was a little bit off. But one of the amazing things about this sculpting gel is if you apply it messily or uneven or too thick, it files absolutely effortlessly. Like you will see once we've finished application, it is a little bit bumpy and uneven by having left in some of the filing, and the difference just a quick go over with the file does is amazing. So we're doing the same again on the ring finger. I had two loose pieces of glitter here, so I just was quickly getting rid of these. But when I come in with my first ball of gel here, it was a little bit of a smaller ball of gel, so it didn't build up as much of the apex as I wanted it to. So I come in with a second ball of gel just so I could bring that product down a little bit further. So I do come in with another ball of gel as well, because rather than using one large ball here, I kind of ended up using one medium and two smaller ones, just because I wanted to perfect that ombre, but I hadn't picked up a big enough ball of gel to build up that apex area. And this is where you're building up your strength and structure. You don't want this area of the nail to be too thin, or where your tip is meeting your natural nail, kind of that stress area, because if you have your product too thin here, they more than likely will snap off. So I'm just making sure that I've built up that nice apex. It's not too thick, it's not too huge or anything like that, but it is just that little bit of structure to the nail. And then I always like to touch up with my stripe liner brush, and I was a little bit far away from the cuticle here, so I come in with a small amount of sculpting gel on my stripe liner brush to touch up that cuticle area and just get it a little bit neater and a little bit flusher. And I really love the stripe liner brush for this. I love how much of a versatile brush it is, that you can even still use it with thicker consistency products like the sculpting gels. So we popped that in to cure for 60 seconds, and then all we need to do on these two nails is encapsulate, but I'm going to do all my clear encapsulation at the end. So I want to stick with using the natural cover, otherwise I've got to clean off my brush, go in and encapsulate with clear, and then clean off again to go back in with the natural cover for the remaining nails. So I like to personally, if I know that I'm going to be doing more work with that particular product, to just stick with using that one. So on to the middle finger, we're trying to create the fade for our hidden cuticle glitter fade look. So I come in and applied a slip layer of the natural cover and blended this back a little bit with the ombre brush, and then I've picked up my ball of gel and I'm just working it down the nail. And this design just would have looked that much better if I hadn't brought my glitter so far down the nail. I was thinking about completely changing the design up, but I decided not to, and to just go with it and correct it as best as I can. But yeah, if you wanted to recreate this design, then that's all you need to do. Is you don't need to bring your glitter down nowhere near as much as what I did. So I'm walking this first ball of gel down the nail, and with this now we're going to predominantly be building up majority of the nail with the natural cover, because the only area we're going to be really encapsulating with the clear is where that glitter is. So I'm just working with the product here to make sure I'm happy as best as I can with the fade, but then I'm also building up the more tip end of the nail. Because these nails are quite long, you're not gonna, or you could use one large ball of gel if you wanted to, but personally I find that a little trickier. I prefer to go in with a couple of balls of gel to have more control over the product, because I'm using a smaller amount of product at the time, and then I'm building up this strength and structure of that nail. So I'm going to come in with the next ball of gel here. Whilst that first ball is still wet, you can layer up your products with this, or you could cure in between if you preferred. And then I'm just walking this down the nail just to create a bit more structure, because it was really thin up in that tip end. But I did end up with a little bit too much thickness at the tip of the nail, but it's fine because, like I mentioned, this product does file absolutely effortlessly. So I popped this in here to I popped this in to cure for 60 seconds, and then I wanted to come in just to try and perfect this ombre a little bit. So I ended up just painting on a layer of the sculpting gel and just working up towards that cuticle area, because if you use this quite thin, it is a little bit more sheer, just to try and just perfect that blend a little bit more. It was never going to look like a hidden cuticle glitter fade because I had took that glitter up too far. So I was just working with it as best as I could to at least still create a nice blend. And it is quite a tricky blend when you are working with such a pigmented color like red and then coming over it with a nude. So I come in with another small bead and just realistically just coming in at that blend area and blending it out, and then pulling it down to the tip of the nail just to make sure it's nice and even, so it's not super thick in one area and then really thin in another, because then this is where you're going to spend a lot longer filing. And then I'm just coming in with that striped liner brush, just going backwards and forwards over that blend area to neaten it up as much as possible. And here was where I actually started to think, okay, I've salvaged this as best as I could, and I was happy with it. I did consider, you know, popping some nail art over the top, but I thought no, this was the set I had in mind and I wanted to stick with that. But of course, if you wanted to make this look a little bit more put together, you could come over the top and do some crystals or something like that to hide that blend a little bit. I did come in with my round nail art brush and a little bit of alcohol just to clean up right at the cuticle area, so we still get that pop of red down there. And then I popped this in to cure for 60 seconds. On to the little finger. On this now, I want to do just a full nail of natural cover because we're going to come over the top of this with the cat's eye gel polish. So I just need to build up the strength and structure of the nail. So because I'm working on quite long nails, I decided to go in with the slip layer technique. So this is where you apply a thin layer of your builder or your sculpting gel first. Apply this to the entire nail, and then you come in with your ball of gel to build up the nails. Now, if you look at a lot of the previous sculpting gel videos I've done, I haven't really used the slip layer technique too much with this product because I've worked on more shorter to medium length nails. So it's definitely possible to not use that slip layer method. You can just come straight in and build with your ball of gel. But when I was working on these longer nails, because I haven't done too many this length nails with the sculpting gel, I actually found it a little bit easier to have that that slip layer there, because it just gives you a little bit more control over how quickly the ball of gel is flowing down the nail, because it's got that slip layer there. That wet layer of gel pulls the product off your brush and lets it flow a little bit easier. I haven't found that I've needed to do this on shorter nails, but on the longer nails it just made application that little bit easier. I then come in with my stripe liner brush, touched up my cuticle area and just dropped a little bit more product down the spine of the nail, and then held the nails upside down for 60 seconds to self level, just because I wanted that little bit more product only running down the spine of the nail. I didn't need to build up any more thickness anywhere else. So now that we have finished with the natural cover, we need to encapsulate our glitter areas of the nails. So I'm going to be using the crystal clear for this. So what I'm going to do first of all is take a thin layer of gel and work this over the glitter. Because we're working with a chunky glitter, I really want to make sure that this product really gets in between all those chunky particles. So again, we're working with it like a slip layer, just because otherwise the product's going to struggle to flow quickly and effortlessly over those chunky particles. So just working it in there with your brush. When you then come in with this builder gel layer or this builder ball, it's going to flow nicely because this particular layer of gel hasn't got to try and get in between all those chunky particles. So I'm just taking this from side to side, walking it down the nail and building up that tip so that there is a little bit of thickness there that we're going to be able to come in, file the nails without removing any of our glitter. And of course we still need some thickness there to build up the tip of the nail, because this is, at this point before the clear layer, it would have been very thin because we've just got a thin layer of gel polish and the glitters themselves aren't going to add any strength to the nail. Again, I'm trying to focus on making sure that down the spine of that nail there is enough strength and structure. So I just run my brush down the spine and then everything self levels really easily with this product. So if you do feel as though your nails are a little bit uneven, then just hold the nail upside down for a few seconds before popping it into cure and everything will self level in place. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the ring finger. So coming in, doing that slip layer first of all, really working that around the chunky glitters, and then taking my ball of gel and just working this from side to side to fully encapsulate in those glitters and build up our tip. And what I absolutely love about the crystal clear sculpting gel is it is crystal clear. I couldn't believe how beautiful these glitters looked encapsulated. The shine on them is absolutely amazing. Now, I didn't do my thumbnail in this set, it's because I cannot wear long nails like this with the kids and the dog and work. It just ends up too tricky. So I just was doing this set for content purposes and because it had been requested to do some longer sculpting gel videos. But I had so much fun doing these and I absolutely loved this design. The shine on the clarity and the shine on the crystal glitter tips was amazing. So we're going to come in and do very similar on the middle finger. So I'm coming in and applying a thin layer of gel to begin with, just so it's nice and even, so that this ball of gel flows nicely, because we don't actually need to encapsulate much of this nail with the crystal clear. We just need to encapsulate that little glitter area and the fade, so that when we do our filing and refine the nail, we're not going to file off any of that nude that has helped create the fade, because otherwise there'd be this harsh line between where the red glitter ends and your nude sculpting gel finishes. So we're encapsulating that glitter, building up the cuticle area a little, but then just blending it down the nail just so that there's not too much unevenness. Once we had cured that, I'm going to come in with an alcohol wipe and remove the tacky inhibition layer before we come in and file. I'm just going to show filing on one of the nails, as I did exactly the same on all of them. So I'm taking my 100 grit side, and I like to begin by just roughly mapping out the shape of the nail and bringing back some of that sharp shape. Then I'm going to come in and go up one side of the nail to debulk the sidewall, around that cuticle area to debulk any thickness that might be there, and then up the other sidewall. And then all whilst I'm doing this, I'm looking at the nail from all angles and seeing if there's any areas that need debulking. So any areas that are thick, too thick or uneven, I'm just going to very gently go over them with the 100 grit side of the file. Then I'm going to switch to the 180 grit side of the file and go around that cuticle area just to make sure that's nice and flush. And then I'm going to come in and finish file the shape. I always like to finish file with the 180 grit side, as I feel this gives me the nice, sharp, crisp shape. And just look at the difference. This took me a couple of minutes to do all of the nails. I think I spent 5 minutes in total on filing. They file so effortlessly, but the difference between the filed nail and the unfiled nail was crazy. It just showed that even though my application wasn't 100%, it was so easy to salvage the shape and application with a file. So this product is great for beginners. Don't be put off if you're not used to using a builder gel or a sculpting gel because you're worried your application might not be perfect. You'll be able to fix it up with your file effortlessly. So once you have finished all your filing, I do like to come in and buff all the nails just to remove any of the scratches that are left behind from filing, especially when you've got a nail where you've encapsulated it with the clear. You want to make sure everything's nice and smooth before you come in and top coat, because that also really helps give you that crisp clear look. So I went over and buffed the nails just with the 100 grit side of the buffer. We don't want to like buff them to a shine, because then you might have trouble getting your top coat to stick. So we buffed, and then you need to give the nails a really good clean to remove all of that dust. So I gave them a dust, and then I gave them a good scrub with some alcohol, and then I come in and applied a layer of red frost, which is from the Cat's Eye collection, to the little finger. And then whilst that is still wet, you want to come in with your magnet to create the cat's eye effect. I really love just the simple cat's eye swoosh, and I thought that this colour just worked beautifully with all of the glitters that we'd used in this set. Once you've created your cat's eye effect, you want to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds, and we're then ready to come in and top coat. So today I reached for my trusty no wipe top coat, and I'm going to apply this to all of the nails. And one of the great things about this, which really reminded me of my acrylic days, was I used to really love it when you do a set of nails and you have to file and buff them, and you've included glitter, and everything kind of looks quite matte, quite flat and boring, and then you come in with your top coat and everything comes back to life. Everything looks shiny and magical again, especially on the nails where we've done those chunky glitters, because there's lots of different glitters going on. There's some lips in there, there's some hearts, there's some mylar pieces. Then you can still see the finer glitters from the Enchanted Kiss underneath. So when you come in and apply your layer of top coat, all of those sparkles come back to life. I absolutely love it. So just applying a thin coat of this to all of the nails. At this point, you can use any of the Kiki London top coats. The rubber top coat does work amazing as well with the sculpting gel if you want. If you've got someone who's quite heavy on their nails, or quite, if say for example they've had nail art on top of the sculpting gel, so things like foils, water decals, stamping, then it could be great to go in with a rubber top coat to encapsulate those in. But this is what they looked like. Just look at the high shine from that top coat. I'm then going to come in with a little dash of the Sweet Peach cuticle oil and give that a good rub in, just to replenish the cuticles from all of the work that the nails have had on them and all the alcohol and things like that that the cuticles have been exposed to. This just replenishes that and gives them a really good nourish. And then this, guys, was the finished result. I thought they looked so cute, and I'm really loving the Valentine's nail art, so I hope you all enjoyed these. If you did, please do give the video a thumbs up, and if you have any video requests, please do pop them in the comments below. I do always note them down, and that was how we come about doing this video. So yeah, if you have any requests, pop them in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider hitting that subscription button. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.